Veronica.
Hey, Sara.
And hey, everybody who's listening. We're back with another episode of Thick as Thieves. And we are in the studio in Nashville.
Yay. Where we belong.
Exactly. So,
just a little reminder, the reason that we're emphasizing the fact that we're in the studio in Nashville is because I don't live in Nashville anymore. I live in New Orleans. Love that place, but don't have a studio there. So we've been, we're recording some sessions while we're both in town for the holidays. And then we'll be resuming some sessions from afar. Transatlantic communication, even though.
the giant ocean between Nashville and New Orleans.
Because New Orleans is actually in Europe. And,
yeah.
Right.
It does kind of feel like it's Europe, though.
It does.
Yeah, there is this place called the End of the World, and there's this place called Music Box Village that is near it. And how would you describe the End of the World?
So the End of the World is called that because it's just sort of a bit of land that no one owns in New Orleans. It's sort of like where the Mississippi River intersects with an industrial canal, and then there's just like this big park next to an abandoned building covered with graffiti, and you just kind of go out there, and it has this feel to it that just feels very End of the World-ish in a nice way.
Apocalyptic, but not so scary.
Yeah, kind of nice. Kind of scary, kind of not. Depends on what the weather's like that day. Mm-hmm. When I took you there, you were wearing like these really nice little metallic sandals that got covered in mud.
I got so mad at you.
Yeah. This is the 2019, the year of Sara getting mad at Veronica.
Well, I just wasn't warned that we were going to go slogging through mud.
I didn't know.
It was so muddy, and we walked for miles.
This is like takes me back to Bear Mountain. We like go hiking up a mountain, and
there's bears.
Every time I looked at Sara, she
like
looked like she wanted to kill me. I would look behind me at her, and she was just like death, death, death upon Veronica. Bears were everywhere.
So we went to the End of the World during one visit of mine to New Orleans, and then the most recent time I went down there. But there was this place called Music Box Village. Is that what it's called?
Music Box Village is like next to the End of the World.
Oh my God. It was one of the most magical places I've ever been to. It's amazing. I don't even know how to describe it to people. It's like I don't know. It's
yeah, try.
It sucks. All right. It's as if like some tinkerer, some like artist tinkerer made a giant park or like fun house that you can play music in tree houses that are instruments.
I bet
so hard.
I bet Music Box Village is going to take that and quote you on it in their like press packages that they send people.
Look, okay, I'm Googling this right now. How do they describe themselves?
Yeah, how do they do it?
Music Box Village. Okay. We're going to read their own description because obviously other people
I liked your use of the word tinkerer.
Well, because it kind of is that way.
It does feel like you're in the world created by a tinkerer.
Let's see. Okay. Music Box Village is a place where play, imagination, experimentation, collaboration, community, and hard work come together as a whimsical village of artist-made interactive musical houses, which are like, they're kind of like tree houses or something.
I like your description more.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Mine was a lot more eloquent.
Yours is a lot more like not taking it into a cheesy Hallmark zone.
Yeah.
That one's like, play.
That one's like written for grants, you know?
Yeah,
like that's
totally.
like they're trying to describe
okay, fine.
it in a way.
Person that wrote that, sorry, you did what you had to do.
Yeah, you did your job. Well, anyways, for anyone who is taking a trip to New Orleans, please, please, please go visit this magic.
Yeah, support them so that it can continue to exist because it's a cool space, and I think they are completely dependent on like grants and stuff.
Yeah, and if you are a percussionist in any way, shape, or form, this place is like a magical dreamland.
Oh yeah.
So,
even if you're not one,
you can go and annoy the hell out of everybody by playing the percussion stuff that's in there.
You know what we're gonna do, everybody? We're gonna post a little video of us playing in this magical, playful, whimsical space.
All right,
that's what we'll do.
When this episode comes out, we'll post some of those videos. One of them is of us playing the elevator
house,
which
is it's kind of scary in there, but it was my favorite one.
It was very cool. Okay, so I feel like that's a pretty good update on something art related.
Oh, can I give a little news update? 2 papers recently came out on the use of AI to solve specific problems in art analysis. You can like look at a painting like Picasso's Old Guitarist. Say there's that one. And through X-ray and infrared analysis, you can, and this was already you could already do this. You could see what was painted before the guitarist. Like you can look through all the layers of paintings to see what is underneath it. The very first one he maybe did.
Wow.
Which is in that
So you can
particular
really see the
case-
process.
Yeah, you can see the process, what was there before, the whole past, the like actual palimpsest, which is usually used to refer to words being layered over, but I'm going to use it to talk about visual works. So yeah, it's about how neural networks can analyze the image at different scales and then recognize the way different edges and shapes work. And it's AI that can identify just by looking at these different layers, like, okay, this is a Da Vinci, this is a blah, 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 just using this machine that can study these layers.
That's pretty incredible. So that will really cut
And
down...
recreate them.
That's a scary one. I like the idea of being able to, confirm whether something is done by an artist or not, because there are a lot of paintings out there that are still kind of unconfirmed as to whether or not it's actually done by that artist. And sometimes museums will have works of art that, because they can't 100% verify the provenance of the artwork, even though it's like 99% sure that it's by this artist, they can't show it because they can't like 100% say. So put the little bot on it.
Yeah.
And it say, hey, bot, is this actually by Picasso?
Yeah. Robots replacing art historians.
Eesh. Robots are going to replace everything.
The future. I know.
It's okay. That's why we got to do things that robots can't do.
Which is like what?
Yes. Like
Love.
Arguably,
and robots can love. I think there's some papers.
I think it
out
has
on
to do
that.
with complex thinking.
Yeah, but
Like they can do calculated thinking, but when there's a layer of complexity that only humans can do, and synthesis, and I don't know.
No,
Never mind.
No. I'm with you. I'm like thinking about it, and I
feel like there are some things that humans are just gonna be better at.
Like I can't ever imagine robots ever getting good at sex.
No, they
Like-
can do it and
like-
they can facilitate it, but they'll never be good at it.
I mean, what I mean is two robots having sex with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They'll not be able to experience that the way two humans or animals or whatever can experience it. I'm just saying that robots of the future, making that argument right now.
We're having better sex than you are.
Yeah, and always will, forever. Goodbye.
Done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drop the mic. Okay, back to art. So yeah,
But that could be very enlightening to us understanding how art was made back then, and just understanding more about the process of how these artists pulled off some of the things they did. Because if you have artists like Velázquez and stuff, I mean, those paintings, you're just like, oh, man, how did this dude actually make something so beautiful?
or this lady.
Or lady, sorry.
Oh no,
Well, I was referring to Velázquez specifically.
Right, okay, of
There are
course.
plenty of female painters who also did beautiful work.
Well, according to Linda Nochlin, there are no great female artists.
What?
Just kidding. That's just the title of her amazing essay that's about feminist art.
Well, that's a great segue into what we're talking about today. We are talking about Marina Abramović. We're going to talk about a moment that she had last year in 2018. This is an art crime. It's an act of
I haven't been
destruction.
keeping up with her lately, so this is going to be a good refresher.
Okay. Well, something happened that when I heard it, I read about it when it happened, and I was so perplexed. I couldn't understand sort of what went on, and I never actually went back and followed up. So when I was thinking about stuff that I wanted to talk about on the podcast, this was one of the first things that entered my mind, because I just wanted to know what happened, like what actually happened. Well, do we want to talk about who Marina is?
We should, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so she is a performance artist, Serbian. She's from Belgrade, and she does all sorts of interactive performance and video work. And, she started off as a painter, but she's not known for any of that at all.
I haven't seen any of her paintings. I mean, usually her actual body is a part of every work she does.
Yes, everything is about the body, and a lot of the things are kind of put herself in danger a little bit, to some degree. Like, for instance, there's one performance work that she did that, there are all these objects on a table, and this was when she was in her, like, early 20s, I think. But they're, she's at the table. There are all these objects on the table. Some are for pain, some are for pleasure. So meaning, like, there's a rose, there's a shoe, there's a pistol, there's a razor blade, there's, it's just an array of harmless things and then dangerous things. And so she invites everybody to use the objects on her. She said, I will, you can use these objects on me in whatever way you want. For, she had a time period. I don't know. I think it was like 6 hours or something. But she just said, like, I will be responsible for everything that happens from this point on. Like, you can do whatever you want, which is a pretty bold move. Yeah, so people start pretty chill to begin with, but then, like, she got cut, and, they were doing all sorts of stuff. It got real weird. So
Bitch got cut.
She got cut. Bitch got cut. So she does things like that. What are some other works?
So I'm gonna go out. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I'm not like crazy about her, but I never get bored of like learning stuff about her either. I mean, she's really well known for the work at MoMA from whatever year it was. Was it 2009? The Artist is Present, where she just sat in a room at the museum for what? A month or something.
I think it was like 736 hours or something.
Right.
I don't know why. I'm throwing that number out. That may or may not be true, but that's in my head.
Decide that is the number. And then people would line up and then just sit across from her, and she just would stare at whoever that person was with no expression.
Yeah, it was just like making eye contact. And I guess, it was supposed to be about like vulnerability and human connection and just taking a moment to slow down and acknowledge one another and have a moment.
Yeah, I lived in New York when that was up, and I remember I didn't line up, but I would go check out what was happening, because you could kind of go just as like a spectator and watch her staring at somebody. And there's like a built-in toilet underneath her, so she could just...
I didn't know about that part.
Yeah. Yeah, so she could just do whatever while she was sitting there.
Could you imagine if she was like
taking a shit?
Taking a shit while you were looking at her in the eyes? Have you ever dead stared somebody who was taking a shit? That's weird.
I haven't done that before. Like maybe when I was a baby? Probably when I was a baby. It's kind of interesting to think that we're born into this world, and like one of the first things that we engage in terms of like an activity with another human is that our shit is just getting cleaned up for us for months,
true.
Or for a year or something,
yeah,
or more. And then we're all weird about it when we become adult. Anyway, not Abramović. She's gonna sit there and shit while staring at you.
And so this also created the whole. So I feel like that performance at MoMA happened, and it was a big deal when it happened. And then it had this resurgence when. Did you listen to How It Became the Bomb song? Okay, so at this performance, Marina's longtime boyfriend / artist partner, his name was Ule.
Oh yeah.
And the beginning of her career, they did work together a lot, and they did really great work. It was there was a lot of really cool shit that they did. They broke up. They had a very dramatic breakup.
Well, kind of a cool one.
It was cool. Yeah, it was a performance. They turned it into a performance. What was it like? They walked across the...
I actually know a lot about this.
Oh yeah. Tell us.
I wrote a story about it. Yeah, they decided we're gonna break up, and after, well, I guess that wasn't their plan when they got started as a artist couple. But their breakup
Hopefully
ceremony,
they were a little more optimistic.
Right. They were going to get married. But instead, when they broke up, they both started from opposite ends of the Great Wall of China and walked towards each other until they met in the middle to then hug each other and then part ways. So they both had to walk a lot for 3 months each. I read a biography of this whole situation, and I think she was pretty hardcore about it and stuck to walking. I believe he would sometimes get picked up by a car, go hang out, drink wine somewhere, and then get dropped off a little down the Great Wall a bit.
Gotcha.
That's what I understand. But he made it.
He made it. Okay.
Yeah.
The world may never know.
Tells you something about their relationship
for sure. He was cutting corners.
Yeah, and she was not.
Yeah. Okay.
She was cutting other shit though.
Yeah. So at the performance at MoMA, so their breakup, when was that breakup? When was the Great Wall of China thing? Was it I
think that was in the 90s.
Okay, it was in the 90s. And they basically cut off communication and did not really see one another after. That was a very final, it was like a full stop breakup.
Right.
And he got sick and all this stuff happened. But at her performance at MoMA, he got in line, and she did not know that he was in line.
Oh, yeah.
And he sits down. So the thing was like anyone can get in line and you go and you sit there for a minute or just however long you want.
You can stay there for a while.
Yeah, however long you want it. And I think there was a signal where like you put your head down or something when you're ready to go, or she does. Well, there's this moment and it's captured on video where Ule comes and sits in front of her at this performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of the, if this doesn't pull at your heartstrings, like you are not a human, because it is so intense.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts crying and like they like grab each other's hands. And it is just one of the most like, I don't know, it's not necessarily romantic, but maybe I don't know what it is. It's just, it's so emotional.
I think it's in the documentary that was made about it, right?
Oh, yeah, it's an intense moment. So if you watch a video of it online, like you'll see, just look it up if you want to cry. And so how this Nashville band, How Became the Bomb, wrote a song called Ule, and it's in the video, like the song is set to this video, and it's great. Like the song, I love the song, and like the fact that it's about this whole moment.
And it's a Nashville band?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
And it's great.
Cool.
So we'll listen to it.
Yeah.
We'll listen to it after this.
Okay.
That song got really popular, so it kind of made that whole video.
So when I feel like a grandma and I'm like, why am I out of the loop?
it gave that video in that moment another little push in the popular sphere.
All right.
Anyways, so everyone just go listen to that song and watch that video.
If you want to cry.
If you want to cry. I think it's on YouTube. You can find it right now.
You're a big girl. You can find it.
Okay. So we've talked about who Marina
So now you get
Abramović.
a sense of performance artist.
Yeah, so that's her realm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in September of 2018, she is in the Palazzo Strozzi in Florence, Italy. Mm-hmm. And they are this place is doing it's I think maybe her first retrospective, like huge retrospective of her work, maybe the first in Italy or something. But it's a big moment, big day, and she's there for that. She's walking around and everyone's filming because like she's being escorted kind of through a crowd and it's her retrospective, so it's a big moment. And this guy comes up to her and she's 71 years old. Mm-hmm. She doesn't look it, but like this is a 71-year-old artist, and this young guy, he's middle-aged, but he comes up to her and he's got this painting in his hand, and it's a portrait of her, and it's kind of like a.
Did he paint it?
Yes. And it's sort of disfigured, or not really distorted, but it's a portrait of her, and he walks in front of her, and she smiles because she thinks that it's a gift, like he approaches her like it's a gift, and he's holding it, and it's probably, I would say maybe like 24 by 36. Mm-hmm. Like it's a sizable painting. And he comes up to her and she smiles and he stands in front of her, and then he just lifts it above her head and just smashes it on her head, and the frame goes around her body.
And it rips?
Yes, it rips. So it in the end, so it's a paper portrait.
Okay. Yeah.
You can't really tell that from the video or anything, but it's actually made of some type of heavy paper. So there are numerous videos of this from like all angles, and so if you look it up online, it's really startling. Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've actually never watched it before.
Okay. All right. So this is one angle of it.
Is he naked?
No, he's not naked.
Wait, can I look more?
Yeah. That one didn't really capture the moment.
But I do get a sense of the ruckus. Everyone was super shocked.
It was a crazy moment. I mean, it was just like, it was so rude and mean and like aggressive, and like everyone just kind of freaks out, and the guy like tumbles onto the floor, and the museum guards like wrestle him down, and they have to like remove the frame from like Marina's body.
How does she seem?
She's just in shock. So she doesn't like freak out. She's just standing there. I think she's just trying to process like, what the fuck just happened to me. Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because you would think she'd be ready for anything.
You would think, but I mean, how can you be ready for that?
Right.
Especially when you think it's about to be a nice gesture and that happens. I mean, I just can't imagine ever feeling like braced for that.
Right.
Braced for somebody like in a moment of celebration where feeling like maybe kind of in the spotlight.
Yeah.
For someone to kind of have the...
Yeah, definitely never wake up in the morning and think, I need to prepare for anything, including a painting being assaulted by a painting of me.
Yeah, because it's very violent. I mean, the sound of it, like you can hear this like boof, and it just like goes down on her head, and everyone's around. And I just think it's really creepy,
especially in like the way things are with crowds these days, with like sudden acts like that, which tend to lead to like really tragic events. So when that happens, like I think our first mode is, wait, we need to brace ourselves for the ultimate worst thing ever.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's just another one of those things of like, yeah, crowds are really scary. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's another view.
Can we call this episode "Crowds Are Really Scary"?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa.
That's him getting taken down.
Whoa, she's pretty chill.
Yeah, she's pretty chill.
Wait, are they bleeping out because everyone's saying like fucking Italian?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's hilarious.
Okay, so there are a bunch of different angles because so many people were filming her walking. So you can like kind of look at it from all these different ways. And I feel like I've watched every angle of it. Mm-hmm. But so that happened. And I remember hearing about it when it happened because I was just like, damn, like that sucks. It just...
Where was I? How did I miss out on this?
I
2018. There are parts of that year where I was just like in a fugue state.
We won't talk about 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember hearing about it and I just thought that it was such a dick move.
Mm-hmm.
But so what's interesting is that so her reaction I think is really compelling. She just wanted to talk to him. So immediately she's just like, where is he? I want to know why he did this. Like, I just want to know. Like, I think she was immediately went into intrigue of not defensiveness, not like anger, not vengeance. She wanted to understand what just happened to her.
That sounds like the Marina I know.
Totally. Mm-hmm. So she's like, this act of violence has happened and all I want to know is,
why?
Yeah. And she's quoted in the New York Times, saying that she has compassion for him and that, yeah, she really just wanted to...
Did she get to talk to him?
Yeah. So she ends up going up to him and asking him why he did it. And you know what his answer was?
Wow.
I did it for my art.
Ugh.
So...
How did she respond to that?
I don't really know how she probably...
That's what I would do.
Yeah. So that was his big...
Do we even... And I've realized you haven't said his name, and it's like, do we even bother?
Well, yeah, okay. So his name is also, so he's a 51-year-old Czech artist, or was at the time, so I guess he's 52 or whatever now. His name is Václav Pišvejt, and it's a very Czech name. And I Googled how to say it.
Good job. Yeah,
I got the pronunciation, and
That's what we need to
do you want to see my notes?
Doing?
Look.
Oh, my goodness. Everybody,
Václav Pišvejt.
She wrote it out in her own phonetic
It
spelling.
doesn't look like that. It looks like Václav Pišvejt.
We need to. This is something we need to do. I'm going to follow your example because we have to pronounce a lot of names that we don't know how to pronounce, and then I will take responsibility for like butchering a lot of names. And I'm sorry. I need to
tried
do this.
real hard, but the reason why I tried real hard is because his last name is spelled Pisvejc, and so. JC is not a thing that I could even butcher so much. I don't even know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
Anyways, okay. So that's the dude. And so when I read about that, I became very curious about what his deal was. So he said he did it for his art, and she was pretty cool that she did not press charges.
Yeah.
And I think that she saw it as kind of a performance, and it's I think she's sort
like,
of
he's trying,
and she is well aware of the audience interaction with her work, all of it, and so I don't think she was super offended.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was just kind of like, all right, that's a thing that happened, and
and she's probably like, he's trying to be me, he's not really getting there, but
yeah, and she wasn't hurt, so that's another. I mean, not that is okay, but she wasn't hurt. She wasn't like super injured by it. You know, she wasn't bleeding. She didn't have any like bruises. And so that's a plus. There was no glass. You know, it wasn't like a...
Oof, that would have been bad.
I know. Could you... Well, because when I heard about it, that she got a painting smashed over her head, I was thinking a canvas painting.
Yeah, which
like,
is really hard to rip through.
It's hard to rip through, and that would hurt so bad. So that's what I thought it was. But when I researched it further, it was a paper portrait.
Yeah.
But still, it's terrible. So this guy is apparently... So in one of the videos, you can hear someone saying... who is that? Like, as he's being, like, wrestled to the ground, someone's like, who is that? And someone responds, like, he's a guy who tries to make trouble at all the exhibits.
Oh.
So this is a guy who has a history of being a little punk. And it's part of his whole thing. And I really feel conflicted about this because while I like people who try and shake up the status quo and cause, you know, kind of do things that are... challenging the system and all this stuff. I don't like this thing. I don't like the idea of assaulting somebody or hurting somebody. Like, if you're doing something that doesn't hurt another person or doesn't go into their personal space, all right, like, go do whatever you want to do. But when you start hurting somebody, that's not cool. Right. I don't like that at all.
So he's done this with other artists?
So his past little shenanigans. So one included... like laying on a pile of money outside of an exhibition. He's like naked, laying on a pile of money on the street in front of an exhibition, holding one of his paintings. Also, let's talk about Václav's artwork.
Oh, is it?
Did I say it right?
Sure.
I'm looking at Václav, yeah. Okay, so Václav's artwork, his paintings and portraits, they're like a weird ripoff mesh of Francis Bacon and de Kooning. So they're like portraits where a face is all like gnarled and looking weird, and it's a total like derivative, just kind of sort of copying. Like he has, so I went and found him on you know, there's a like Saatchi art thing where, anyone can kind of like put their work up, I think. But so he has a bunch of paintings up there, and he has a blog, and I read his stupid blog.
Like, I'm like feeling the pain of you going down a rabbit hole on this guy.
Well, I just confirmed the fact that I think this dude is super annoying and is like such a wannabe and is trying to get attention. It's like he's trying to get attention for being an artist by doing everything except making good art. You know, like, his paintings suck. He's pissed off that no one likes his artwork and no one's paying him money for his like shitty paintings, so he's gonna go like just try and ruin and or make fun of and or bitch about the artists that have succeeded. And that's just kind of coming from a petty place to me. Oh yeah, a little bit. A lot. Yeah, I mean, it's like a musician who writes really shitty songs and just goes and tries to disrupt the performances of people who are making it. And who are, you know, it's like, why just focus on yourself, make better work, like try harder in your own, you know, to become a better artist.
Don't be an artist.
Or just don't be an artist and go do something else. Go be a chef or whatever.
Go be a chef.
As if that's like what, like a failed career. I don't know. No offense to any chef out there.
Chefdom is badass.
I was just trying to think of a different thing that you could do if you have a creative sensibility. I feel like chefs have like a creative
but they're
side.
like chefs who do a good job, man, that's a work of art.
It is a work of art.
Yeah. And
that's what I'm saying though. It's like
he could go work at like Applebee's.
Go fucking work at Applebee's.
He could go work at Applebee's and be in charge of the design of the layout of like the chicken breast on the tortilla chips or whatever. Like, you know, so go do that.
Does Applebee's put chicken breasts on tortillas?
When I imagine their food,
on tortilla
that's
chips?
what I imagine.
I'm imagining like a totally beige plate with just like an unsauced, unseasoned grilled chicken breast on top of a bed of white corn tortilla chips.
That's what I was picturing too. And
that's what Applebee's.
I think that's the kind of chef work he could do.
Okay, I see. Yeah. I think you're correct.
Yeah. No offense to anyone who works at Applebee's. I'm just saying, you know, like, dude, go find something that works for you, where you can actually kind of like, there's a reciprocal process going on. And that's the thing with this, just like being a charlatan, like sourpuss.
He's being a little bitch.
Wasting space and energy. But I guess this is the most famous act of whatever little bitchness he's achieved, because, I mean, everyone was broadcasting it. So what happens after that? After you do that and then the artist is actually interested in asking you about it, and you come back with your really lame answer, so it's super anticlimactic. But then what?
I mean, it was very anticlimactic, and because she didn't press charges, it just disappeared. So he didn't have, I mean, he did not face any kind of punishment. He just got to live with the...
Which I think is smart on her part.
I think it is,
Why
too.
drag it out? Why make it more than what
I think it is, too.
Yeah.
And it elevates her in terms of being like the bigger person in that moment, because it's like she understands that this was nothing. You know, like, no, you didn't commit some big act. Like, this wasn't a big performance thing. She just like brushes it off her shoulder, like, all right, dude, you know, that was ridiculous, and I'm just going to go about my life. So she said in the Times, in the past, in this New York Times article, in the past, I would have been angered by something like this. Today, I feel compassion. So, I mean, I think she just looked at him probably as a little dude who's just trying to get some attention wherever he can.
Yeah, she feels bad for him.
Yeah. And she, you know, she said, you don't make art through violence against others. I was also young. I was also not a famous artist at one point, but I never hurt anyone. Which is totally true. Like, I mean, do whatever performance, whatever crazy stuff. Or if I understand too, sometimes an act of vandalism to make a point. I get that. But I really think the line is drawn by if you, like, hurt somebody.
Yeah.
I really don't think that that's ever meaningful or cool or...
Nope.
I mean, someone might argue against that.
Go for it, person.
Yeah, but I really don't. I just don't
That
see
would make
how.
that argument. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't think so either.
So he also, in addition to the laying nude on a pile of money on a sidewalk, he also spray painted on this Urs Fischer
Oh, yeah. That guy.
thing. It's big statue called Big Clay in the Piazza della Signoria. I don't know if that's how you say it. Does that sound Italian to you?
It does. I like your
Piazza
pronunciation.
della Signoria.
Yeah.
So he painted...
Does that mean Plaza of Woman?
Signoria woman?
In
It's not
Spanish.
like senor... Oh, I don't know.
Senora is woman in Spanish.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know.
Anyway, whatever. Back to Urs Fischer. So what's the sculpture of?
Well, so he just walks up to it and spray paints a red circle. It's just like a red oval. It's just an ugly, dumb, like filled in red oval on this like public sculpture. And it's just so annoying.
This guy is kind of like my least favorite kind of person.
I know. Yeah.
Like that person that you have to deal with. That's like, okay.
Yeah, and he was caught in the act. It happened at 8 a.m. Police caught him doing it. He's not even a good criminal. Like, he doesn't even, like, he just gets caught for this stuff. And I think he wants to get caught. You know, he's that type of, like, I need to be doing something that gets noticed.
Yeah.
So he tried to do that, and
Was that after?
Really yeah, that was after. And so he continues to try and do this stuff, which I just think people need to be on the lookout for this dude. And so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think that giving someone, like, I guess, attention for doing something like this is enabling or making the problem worse?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
Because I guess the counter argument would also be, like, if we don't talk about it and if you don't, like, make it known of what a, like, dickish move this was, then people will keep doing it. So I don't know if it's better to just, like, not report on this and, like, just let it go away, or if you do.
I mean, I'm glad we're doing a podcast episode about it, because usually we're, like, kind of impressed with the people that are committing these art crimes, but here's a case where it's kind of a pathetic person, and I do feel that when people give more attention to these types, then it elevates their self-worth in that act that they are committing, and so that becomes their thing, that becomes their shtick. And you know, so she was smart in not pressing charges. She's just kind of like, okay, let's not inflate this,
right? Because if she would have, and it would have gone to trial or something, you know, that would have just probably fed into his just narcissist dumb stuff.
Basically, like if Trump was an artist, he'd be this guy.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. like not actually doing anything real and just making everyone mad.
Yeah, and then being like, wah, about it afterwards and, you know, slamming his fists on the table, so to speak, like a little baby.
Yeah. And Václav he is not a famous person. No, like, I'm looking at his Twitter right now, so he has like a Twitter account. And
Does he tweet in English?
No, he tweets in Italian, but you can translate the page.
Oh, right.
Which I've had to do for all of this, is like translate entire page. So he's got 55 followers. Mm-hmm. He's like, no one gives a shit about him.
Right.
Which it makes me happy. It makes me happy that like he's not getting much attention for all this stuff.
I mean, there's a part of me in our bashing of him that I stand behind, like the fact that we don't like him. But there's a part of me that feels sad for him, for sure, and thinking like, oh, he must have a really lonely life.
He probably, yeah. I'm sure. I doubt he has any friends because who's really gonna?
He's kind of like a Joker type.
Totally.
Right. I mean, Joker, like the Joker, Batman.
Right, but like unsuccessful Joker, like not even as cool, like not good style.
Was
and
Joker successful? I mean, eventually he was, right? But
well, based on the new Joker movie, I mean, successful in that like,
but it took a while.
He caused a lot of public damage.
Yeah.
That movie's great, by the way. Have you seen it? Have you seen the new Joker?
I did. Yeah, I have some criticisms.
Oh. Do you want to talk about it?
Oh.
We don't have to.
Hold on. Let me think. Because I do keep thinking about the Joker while you're telling me about this guy. And there were so many interesting components of the narrative of that, but there were other aspects of it that I thought were like way over the top and kind of like flashy.
Something that I really liked about it in terms of like offering some sort of insight. I like that they went the mental health route of like someone doing this much damage, like is really dealing with some stuff, you know, could be dealing with a lot of like various mental health issues that like aren't able to be treated or he's gone under. Like, I just thought it was a really interesting approach to offering some kind of like deeper level of like, who is this villain? Why is this person a villain? Like,
yeah,
what's going on? Like, what are the underlying issues instead of just like, oh, this is just a dude who was born evil.
Right.
You know, it's like, this is a person who had like a traumatic childhood and had like these mental health issues that he couldn't get, you know, proper treatment for. And that resulted in him doing all this stuff. I think that's an interesting and poignant like narrative to tell.
No, yeah. Teasing out the complexity of like what would otherwise be looked at as just a one-sided character is something I'm a big fan of, for sure. And I think that they did a good job of that, but there were some things that were a little over the top and a little bit like too Hollywoody for me. But I'm also kind of influenced by the fact that I watched it with someone who right afterwards like went straight into bashing it and was making really good points. And so then I was like, I will be honest, it was one of those experiences where I walk out and I'm like, actually, that was pretty good for like a mainstream movie. And then this person's just like, bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're making good points. Like, it was almost like it appealed to a side of me that initially it appealed to a side of me that was like, oh, it's fun being impressed by something that I was expecting not to be impressed by.
Yeah.
And then the person I'm with who's normally impressed with more blockbustery things, intellectually like tearing it apart, I was like, okay, hold on. Like, I want to be doing that. So I'm just going to kind of like let you influence me a bit more. It was interesting. It was like, I would like to watch it again and then not have that person with me right afterwards kind of thing. But
I went and saw it with Julia Martin.
Oh yeah.
She like invited me out. It was like a Sunday afternoon at like 1 p.m. and she was just like, hey, do you want to go see the Joker with me? I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, I do. And we went. So we really liked it.
Yeah, you know that I watched it at a matinee screening. It was like at 10:30 in the morning at a theater in New Orleans, and I'm like,
a weird movie to be seeing
on
at 10:30
Sunday, and it was just so bizarre.
Well, we both saw it at like the sort of matinee hour,
daytime. Yeah, because I didn't want to spend like regular movie price ticket.
No way
on the Joker. But you know, so back to this guy. It's what's his name again? This prankster, this little prankster guy. Václav. There, you know, I feel like there's something about him that does make me feel sad. Yeah. And sad in a way where I'm not pitting him, sad in a way where I'm like, oh, there's got to be some backstory there with, you know, you becoming this way that, you know.
He's just pathetic. He's just a pathetic little dude who is trying, like, just grasping at anything to be noticeable.
Yeah. But then there's this like part of me that, oh, like maybe sometimes you just need someone to give him a hug now and then. Maybe if you got a hug once a month, he would do
Once
less.
a month?
I don't know. I feel like he's not getting many hugs.
Maybe that'll be my performance art. Is I get once a month. I go to Czechoslovakia and I.
You mean the Czech Republic? Or is it now known as like the former Czech Republic? Whatever.
I feel like we're stuck in different ages. We can call it whatever we want. We're not like in the modern age. We don't know how to use GIFs or anything like that. We're like,
and when we say we mean the two of us.
Yeah.
We're not bringing all of you into the we.
Yeah, it's just she and I, sometimes we're like ancient people trying to navigate the modern world.
I feel like part of why we became friends is because like our brains are somewhat stuck in like the 19th century.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and 100%. Then we came into this century and we're like, what are we doing here? Let's be investigators that like art. Boom.
We're trying really hard, you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for your support. Thanks for listening to us ramble our way through time because we don't know what time it is.
Yeah. So, okay, my new performance art is going to be traveling to. Okay, look.
You're gonna go to the Czech Republic every month
and
hug
I'm gonna
person?
Say, yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep him from doing anything bad because he's going to get his monthly hug and it's going to be great.
You'll just go into his little hovel where he's drinking tea and you're going to hug him and then walk out?
Yes. T or P.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to hug him and I'm just going to be like, Václav, just chill out this month, please.
Yeah.
Like, focus
Can you learn how to say that in Czech?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I went to Prague and the Czech language is like so weird.
Well, it's hard to
It's really hard. There's no anchor of English in it. It's like not, or what is it, like romantic language or whatever.
Right.
So nothing looks
Latin.
like English words. Like I feel like when I was in Italy or you go to Mexico City or you go somewhere, I don't know, the words are kind of like
identifiable.
You can make a connection. No, that doesn't work in
the
Prague,
Czech world.
In the Czech, formerly Republic of Slovakia.
The artist formerly known as Czech.
Yeah, so whatever. I'm going to brave it for Václav and just to make sure that he, just chills out and feels a little bit of love. And this is, my one act of kindness that I'm going to deliver to him, and it's going to save a lot of grief.
It's going to save some artists from their multi-million-dollar artworks getting
he's
graffitied.
not done. Yeah, I mean, he's not done. He's going to be doing...
It's not going to end this with Urs Fischer.
No, he's going to keep going, and he's going to slam some more paintings on people's heads. He's going to go destroy some stuff, and he's going to continue to make bad artwork. And that's just unfortunate. So whatever.
And that's a crime in itself.
It's a crime in itself.
That's an art crime, everybody.
Not really. I think... Okay, here's a philosophical question.
Oh, boy.
Do you think making artwork, even if it's terrible, is worthwhile?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on the reason you're making it for.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think so, too. I think if, it comes down to a person making a lot of, really...
I mean, I see plenty of children making horrible art, but I'm like, they're just expressing themselves, so that's cool.
So you don't tell them?
Yeah, I don't say that's really bad. You get a pass if you're a kid, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, or I think of people who write really bad poetry, because there's a lot of those out there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know what? I appreciate that you're writing poetry, regardless of how good or bad it is. The fact that you're sitting down, writing your poems, and, that's how you're living your life, that's awesome.
Right.
Same with paintings.
It's just when they get upset at the response. Like, if they're expecting a kind of response and they're not getting it, and then... the whole thing, everything they do is about that, which seems to be the case with this guy that we're talking about, then it's like, okay, this is causing you more grief than pleasure. And the whole point of doing it in the first place is that it's like an outlet, or it brings you some sort of pleasure. You're like reaching some higher plane by doing it. And if that's not happening and you're just doing it for the sake of adoration that you're not getting, then look for something else to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And how many people have existed? How many artists and writers and filmmakers and all of it have made what was perceived as really horrible art? They made it their whole life, and then they die, and later, 30 years later, 50 years later, people come back to it and they're just like, holy shit, this is great.
Right. So make it, and
make your
if
bad
people
art,
don't like
everybody.
it, just know that maybe people will like it in 100 years when you're dead.
Yeah, you won't know about it, but you know. That's
Yeah. It's always good to end a podcast episode on when you're dead.
People might like you when you're dead.
Yeah.
Just hang on to that. Just if you're in despair,
Yeah.
just hang on to the fact that people might like you when you're dead.
Yeah, that's our message today, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
To our words of wisdom.
Our theme song. Our theme song is by Patrick Damphier.
And our artwork, our podcast artwork is done by Saskia Keultjes.
And you can follow us on the Instagram, if we can figure out how to use it because we're ancient.
Yeah.
At Thieves Forever.
Yeah, it's an Instagram from the 19th century. But we're like a vampire. Anyway, and
this podcast is brought to you by We Own This
We
Town.
Own This Town.
Oh, you got a little.
I'm trying to pronounce it like
I like that. Okay. Yeah, brought to you by We Own This Town, which is the greatest podcast network in the world.
Yeah, I like how when Sarah says this, if it was in print, it would be like the greatest podcast network, long ass pause, like a paragraph of pause, the world. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please listen to other podcasts that are on this network. They're very cool, what they're doing, what they're talking about. It's fun to be a part of this little family that's called We Own This Town.
Yes, and all the podcasts are on Spotify and Apple Music,
Wherever you find.
wherever you get your podcasts.
Right. In our case, we get it from the ancient scrolls.
Yeah, that's where we go find ours.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Why do you have a funny look?
Because it's just going on.
It's supposed to put us in the mood.
Okay.